Good morning and welcome to Morning Ride, your refreshing breakfast show here on Delta Television. On behalf of the board, management and staff of Delta Broadcasting Service, I'm delighted to have you join us this Monday, the 10th day in the month of November 2025. I am Ogaga Ekama, and on the program this morning, I will take you through our exciting lineup from trending news and newspaper review to engaging interviews with our special guests. So sit back, relax, and let's begin the ride. So this morning we'll kick off with our trending stories, and the very first one we have here is President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Chukwuma Soludo on his re-election as governor of Anambra State. Now, Governor Soludo was returned for a second term in office after recording a landslide victory, winning all 21 local government areas in the election, according to results declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) yesterday. The massive victory makes the professor the third governor in Anambra's political history to win a second term. In a statement personally signed by him, President Tinubu described Soludo's re-election as a testament to his visionary leadership and the significant progress recorded under his administration. President Tinubu also commended the new INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopeton, and his team for conducting what he described as a credible election based on reports received so far. He charged the commission to maintain high standards and continue to improve its performance so we can strengthen and deepen our electoral system, and that's in the words of the president. The state returning officer and vice chancellor of the University of Benin, Omoroge Edoba, who announced the results, declared Soludo the winner after the collation of results from the local government areas. So, congratulations to Professor Chukwuma Soludo, who has returned elected and getting his second term in office after the election which took place on Saturday in Anambra. And he won overwhelmingly. He won all 21 local governments in Anambra State, having 422,000 votes. Now, his closest rival, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Nicholas Ukachukwu, polled 99,445. That's less than 100,000, and he got 422,000. Now, despite the president commending INEC and all of that, the candidate of the African Democratic Congress, talking about Mr. John Wonsu, he has disagreed with the results. And now, remember when the INEC chairman was brought into office, talking about Professor Joash Amopeton, SAN, he says one of the things that he wants his stint to be known for is that elections are decided at the polls, and that opponents or different persons that vied in the elections will not need to go to court, that it will be so transparent and credible that even the losers will see no need to go to court. But in the case of Anambra State now, even though we've not basically seen anybody that's going to court, because even the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, he said he will need to consult with his party and get more reports to know the next step to take. However, the candidate of the ADC has come out straight to say that he refuses the election. Even the Labour Party candidate, George Mogalu, he said that he lost his polling unit, by the way. He said that part of why he lost his polling unit was because of vote buying, that he didn't indulge in that, and he doesn't have the funds to do that. But people that had the funds to do that did that, and because of the poverty of his constituents that they gave in, they succumbed to vote buying. So that was his reason. So with all of this being said, the report and EFCC, even on Saturday, the EFCC, they released a statement saying that they arrested 3 persons alleged in vote buying. So despite the report, the general report of no or minimal irregularities, different quarters are still reporting this. And other observers have also come out to say that the election was relatively peaceful. Yes, it was relatively peaceful. And I was listening to the governor of Anambra State, and he said that according to his report and the reports he got, though because earlier on Saturday, Sunday, there were reports of low voter turnout. But according to the governor, he said that this is the highest turnout that they've experienced since the state was formed in 1999. This is the highest turnout that Anambra has witnessed. So we're still waiting for official reports, for INEC to give their official report, the number of electorates that came out to vote and all of that. And relatively speaking, let's know the percentage if there was a relative increase in voter turnout. But in all, congratulations to the governor of Anambra State, Governor Chukwuma Soludo, on his re-election as a governor. Now, the next story I have here is on the Chinese. Now, the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Yu Donghai, says the country will support Nigeria's fight against terrorism, but faulted the interference of foreigners. Donghai, in a post on his X handle, pledged the support of the Asian country to Nigeria's battle against insurgency, following a meeting with the National Security Advisor, NSA, Nuhu Ribadu. As a comprehensive strategic partner of Nigeria, China firmly supports the Nigerian government in leading its people to a development path that fits Nigeria's national realities, the Chinese ambassador wrote on Thursday. We oppose any country's interference in other countries' internal affairs under the pretext of religion and human rights. We oppose the wanton threat of sanction and use of force. China is willing to continue supporting Nigeria in combating terrorism and maintaining domestic stability. Now, President Donald Trump of the US had last week asked the Pentagon to map out a possible plan of attack in Nigeria, one day after saying that Christianity was facing an existential threat in Africa's most populous country. In a post on his Truth Social platform, the US president said the United States will attack, and it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attacked our cherished Christians. End of quote. Despite the Nigerian government denying such claims, suggesting a meeting to resolve the issue, Trump doubled down on his threat a day later. Now, it's good to, on face value, you would say, okay, good one. China speaking up for Nigeria. Nigeria is a sovereign state, and invasion by foreigners or threats like that of Trump should not be entertained and all of that. But there's also a report that was brought to limelight last week, and this report was on the Chinese, saying that illegal mining is partly funded by China in Nigeria, and they fund terrorism, allegedly. They fund the banditry in the north and all of that so that they can carry on their illegal mining. So that is to say that for those persons that are saying that the Americans are not necessarily coming to save Nigeria, they're not necessarily coming to save you and I, it's because of their personal interest, but are then applauding China. Oh, we have China behind us. If America strikes the Chinese, they are there to defend us. There are also reports that China has personal interest. So you cannot say Americans have personal interest and now say that China has your interest, because there have been reports, like I stated earlier, that China, they are funding insecurity, banditry in the north so that they can carry on with their illegal mining and thereby stealing our mineral resources. All these are still on allegations, but I think it gives you perspective on how to make your decision, whether you want the Americans to invade, whether in support of that or not. And maybe you are supporting the Chinese and saying the Chinese have a... But the truth is, Nigeria is a sovereign state. And it's very appalling and disheartening that we've come to this point that as citizens, we're now looking to foreigners to come and save us. That's how terrible the situation has been. But also, we also want to commend the presidency for the diplomatic, I was listening to the Minister of Information. He was talking about that diplomatic channels have been opened between Nigeria and the US. And of course, international support and collaboration is very much welcome. But that of entertaining the invasion, unwelcomed invasion of a sovereign state is a no-no. But this should also be a call to the federal government, to the Nigerian state, to secure the lives and properties of its citizens as it is enshrined and as it is the responsibility of the leadership of the nation. Now, the federal government has expressed commitments to strengthening telemedicine and digital health innovation as central strategies toward achieving universal health coverage and equitable healthcare access across the country. The Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Isiaq Salako, gave the indication in Abuja at the Nigeria Telehealth Conference 2025, themed Scaling Telehealth for Universal Health Coverage in Nigeria, Pathway to Sustainability. He said the event marked a milestone in Nigeria's quest to leverage technology for improved national health outcomes and service delivery. Dr. Salako stated that the Federal Ministry of Health remains dedicated to reducing physical and financial barriers while expanding access to quality health care and saving lives in undeserved areas nationwide. He said President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda aims to ensure equitable, accessible, and affordable health care, leaving no Nigerian behind in the nation's health transformation journey. Dr. Salako explained that the Nigerian Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative was established to modernize the health system, with the Nigeria Digital in Health Initiative serving as a major implementation pillar. He added that the conference provided a national platform for showcasing innovative digital health solutions in areas like e-prescription, immunization, tracking, referrals, and health insurance claims management systems. He acknowledged challenges such as infrastructure deficits, limited digital literacy, data privacy concerns, and regulatory gaps, but assured ongoing collaboration with development partners and the private sector. According to him, the ministry is finalizing guidelines and governance frameworks to strengthen quality assurance, security, and accountability within Nigeria's telemedicine and broader digital health ecosystem. Now, this is a very much welcome development, talking about telemedicine and digital health innovation. Because when you consider, especially the primary health care, now it's both sides of a coin. It's a welcome development because telemedicine provides the platform, the avenue where you don't necessarily have to walk into a health facility to get prescription and get treatment, as it were. From the comfort of your home, from your convenience, wherever you are, you can access Medicare. That's the good part. But the other challenge, or something that might pose a challenge, is accessibility to internet, telecommunications. So, if, for example, because it's something that is happening now, we have some online stuff that you can even chat a doctor on WhatsApp and some platforms, and you tell them your situation, and they give you the e-prescription and all of that. But when there is the challenge of internet or cost of getting data or getting airtime and all of that, it becomes challenging, or poor network coverage in some areas. Now, I'm trying to think, let's say I know somebody who, for example, she's serving a corps member, she's serving in Bayelsa State. I can't remember the exact name of the local government. But for her to get access to stuff, as much as getting to fill her gas cylinder, she has to transport herself. And she was saying, I think a time, her charger got faulty as well. And for her to acquire that charger, that's the locality, the community where she resides, does not have that facility. And I think she says, speedboat to access the town was about, was it 5,000 to 7,000, thereabout. So imagine that situation, and then there's a situation of telemedicine. It makes it easier. So when you are down, or it's not very severe. Now, mind you, this does not obviate physical Medicare. No, this is just an alternative. It does not replace, because there are some medical conditions that you need to be physical with your doctor. It's not something that should be done online. Yes, so that is worthy of note. But however, maybe you just have a pain, or you woke up with body pain, headache, you're feeling generally weak and all of that. You might not necessarily need to access meet with a doctor one-on-one. And if you find yourself in a situation where, or in a community where you need to access the town, and maybe for you to leave where you are to get to the town, you need to fly a speedboat, or you need to spend 5,000 to 7,000 naira, and there is the option of telemedicine. It makes it easier. However, if there is poor network coverage, it makes it challenging then. So these are things that I'm glad that Nigeria is beginning to consider this, and the more investments and partnerships are done in this sector, the better for us as Nigerians. And lastly, on our trending stories for today, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has called for innovation, sustainability, and equity in Nigeria's infrastructure development, emphasizing stronger collaboration among all tiers of government and the private sector. Represented by the Commissioner for Works, Highways and Urban Roads, Comrade Ruben Izeze, at the 30th National Council on Works in Ado-Ekiti, the governor said Delta remains committed to infrastructure-driven growth under the MORE agenda. He commended the Federal Ministry of Works for sustaining NNPCL-funded projects under the Road Infrastructure Development and Refurbishment Investment Tax Credit Scheme, describing it as a pragmatic step towards unlocking Nigeria's road potential. Governor Oborevwori restated Delta's commitment to partnering with the federal government in advancing sustainable infrastructure that unites communities and transforms lives. Now, one of the things that we must give our governor kudos for is infrastructure development. Now, this is something we've seen from the previous administration to this current one of the Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori. His investment, if you go to Warri, you see the change, PTI, DSC roundabout, NRA junction. These are massive infrastructure projects that will open up and make the state look more modern and modernized and all of that. And so it's very commendable. And also, yes, FMC coming to Onya, Federal Medical Center, Onya, that's another massive project. And like I read in the news this morning, the Minister of Information, talking about Charles Aniagu, he was talking about that the defection of the governor from PDP to APC was strategic, as it has brought more attention. The federal government has given more attention to the state. Whether it should be that way is another debate on its own, whether a governor needs to be in the same political party as the president to get the required attention or the deserved attention is another debate on its own. However, we can see that Delta State is growing infrastructure-wise and all of that. So kudos to the governor of Delta State. We hope that the development in Delta State goes beyond infrastructure and also gets to human resource and many more. That's it on our trending stories this morning. Coming up shortly is a newspaper review, and also remember, we've got interviews for you. So do well to stay tuned here on Delta Television.
Due to the worsening economic conditions in Nigeria, residents said they are unable to afford pharmaceutical products, particularly for patients treating life-threatening diseases such as diabetes.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic, and in fact, it's a big challenge. It's a very great challenge to those of us in the healthcare field. Not just the drugs, medical consumables are actually the prices. Most times is gone beyond 500. Some beyond 500, some 200% the usual price that they were before this. In fact, in the last 5 years, it's been steady rise. The inflationary trend in the healthcare sector as it affects drugs and disposables. Can't believe hand gloves that were being sold in packets, a carton for less than 5,000 naira. It's now 25,000. As I speak now, it's now 25,000. Every other thing has gone up. So it's quite a challenge. It's quite a challenge. Of course, the basic thing is that we don't produce drugs in Nigeria. One, so most of the drugs that we use, either the finished drugs or the raw materials, are imported. So when you import things, of course, there's global inflation, there's global economic slowdown, and we have first imported inflation. Then secondly, the naira has lost its value. So just like every other thing that's rising, you buy it at $1 before now. You buy $1 was what you could buy with 20,000 naira. You can't buy it with 100,000 naira because it's denominated in dollars. So that is the problem. One is imported inflation from where they are manufacturing. It started with the COVID pandemic. Many companies closed down or were shut down temporarily or for a protracted long time. Then there's global economic recession. Then Nigeria, particularly because of the inflation in this country, which to a large extent is caused by the value of the naira against the dollar, against the major currencies being very low. So that is the main cause. Apart from other causes, for instance, also like even the few raw materials that are produced here, they are supposed to, like, you have starch is one of the ingredients that's used in production of drugs, and the farmers are supposed to go to farm. Most of them, there's crisis. Most farmers don't go to farm. They can't farm maize, they can't farm millet, they can't farm cassava and every other thing because there is crisis. There's herders, farmers clashes, there's terrorists attacking the farmers, there are kidnappers going to the farm and to their villages to kidnap them. So they are not safe to go to the farms. So at the end of the day, you have increased scarcity of food products, scarcity of raw materials, basic raw materials that some of the industries that produce drugs in Nigeria would have used, the basic raw materials that are used as condiments or that are used, let me say, just to stop at that, as condiments in production of drugs. It's terrible. Not just those that must take drugs daily. There are some majority of the drugs are not manufactured in Nigeria. There's no company in Nigeria that produces anti-cytotoxic drugs, cancer drugs. There's no company. Most of the antibiotics, the factories we have here just import the raw materials. No company produces lab material. We don't have labs where they are synthesized. So at the end of the day, it's imported. Therefore, for those drugs that we don't manufacture, or the ones that even try to package, it is high. It is becoming unaffordable for the average man. In fact, most drugs, just as I was coming in, you saw the young man, he was showing me a drug. He was buying it less than 100,000 naira a packet, and he needs a packet for a month. The packet of that drug, he needs it for a month, and now from less than 100,000, the one you showed me, they said it's 150,000.
My brother, this is not a good time to fall to be sick. It's not a good time to be sick in Nigeria, because the drugs that they are prescribing for people today, those that you buy for 3,500 naira, you go to the pharmacies or to the chemist, you see them now 15,000, 20-something thousand. It is not a good time to be sick in Nigeria. And to they will make the matter worse. Must we import everything? Drugs are being imported in Nigeria. They say what they are using. Nigeria is blessed and endowed with a lot of things. We have our health. I think if I may able to give it's time to go back to our herbal medicines and all that. But Nigerians should look at how they can invest on our pharmaceutical companies, how they can do more research so that some of these drugs and everything can be produced right here in Nigeria. People are talking about dollar high, dollar going up and down. Must we import everything? Nigerians, our main people that everything should be able to invest in these things. And most of the pharmaceutical companies in Nigeria, they are folding up because they said diesel, fuel and everything. Please, the government should rise up to their responsibility. Drugs, before now, people, when they think that the pharmacies are so expensive, they go to the, let's say, the roadside chemist and other. Those ones are even worse because very soon you'll be seeing fake drugs. They will cut shock and put in somewhere and they said this drug because the things are getting high every day. Please, our government and everybody that is involved, the National Assembly and even the state government, and everything, let us go back and invest on our own pharmaceutical companies and so that we can produce these things right here in Nigeria. Thank you.
One cannot even treat common infection. If you want to get infectious drugs now, I think you should be holding like 30-something thousand naira for normal infectious drugs. So, to me, it's something government should work and look into, because the hike up in prices is affecting a lot of things in this country. Common man cannot even afford drugs to treat his or herself. So, to me, you can convey the message, let government look at what to do about it, so that things can all go well for the common man. Thank you.
Pharmaceutical products are being imported, or the machinery, the process, the materials used in making this drug, the pharmaceutical inputs are mainly foreign or imported. For that reason, dollar plays role. So if the economic team of the Federal Republic of Nigeria cannot do something urgent, you cannot expect anything better. If in the last few months, dollar was 1,000 naira for $1. Now it's 1,480 naira. God forbid. But if nothing is done, it can go to 2,000 naira per dollar. In that case, pharmaceutical products which are being given special attention, special value in this part of the world, is likely to skyrocket. And except the government is going to make provision for free medical treatment, it means death rate is likely to be increased. Because before now, why people don't go to hospital in fear of the cost of medical services in the hospital. Now that you cannot afford the open chemist or pharmacy in the streets, it means something urgent needs to be done. The cost of pharmaceutical products, drugs in particular, is high. It has to be high if the dollar value, yes, equivalent to naira, is not controlled. So definitely, it's a bad situation because we're talking about health, and health is life, and without life, no body, and without people being alive, we don't talk of anything. We don't talk of politics, we don't talk of production, we don't talk of building, because we cannot be building for trees to live inside. People have to be alive. And our school is not safe to that matter. Our school where our children are, whether they are crowded without facilities, drugs are expensive, then we are standing dangerously.
Many have argued that while the country continues to worry over shortage of local investors and high cost of imported drugs, few surviving manufacturers are shutting down. However, some health workers who spoke off camera blamed the rise in the price of drugs on the depreciation of the naira and the exit of foreign pharmaceutical companies like GSK in Nigeria.
Welcome back. It's time now for us to review the different headlines across the different dailies we have here. And I have the Vanguard, the Guardian, the Punch, Daily Independent, the Daily Times, Nigerian Tribune, Daily Trust, the Daily Monitor, Leadership. And I will not be doing that alone. I have with me Paul Orukamaya, and he will be the analyst for today. All right, let's start quickly with the Vanguard newspaper. The major headline here says, Anambra Showdown. How Soludo's tsunami swept all 21 local government areas. We have about 6 riders. The first one, Governor hails INEC, security agencies. Poll records best turnout in 20 years. Candidates, stakeholders, fet governor. Winners and losers. Serap wants sponsors of vote buying probed, prosecuted. Anambra Rec dismisses claims of vote buying. And the last rider, Tinubu congratulates winner, says his re-election affirms visionary leadership. Federal government exceeds 2025 borrowing target by 55.6%. Expected to hit 80% by year end. And on the foreign scene, Trump, Anglican primate to federal government, seek foreign help if you can't stop killings. US watch list, Nigeria not in religious war. And this is coming from the Nigeria Supreme Council, NSIA. Yes, NSIA is actually the Nigeria
Supreme Council for Islamic
Affairs. Yes, thank you for that. Yes, UK warns against travel of 6 states. UK warns against travel to 6 states. To find out those states, get yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper and head to page 9. Autonomy. No evidence to show allocations reach local government directly. A statement credited to ICPC. And when you look just beside the picture of the Anambra State governor, you see the local government results there. To the top strip now of the Vanguard newspaper, plots to take over Nestor. Nekonde's interest in OML 42 unravels. And that's all we'll be taking from the Vanguard newspaper. Now, let's consider the major headline here, which I believe is one of the major headlines across the different dailies. How Soludo's tsunami swept all 21 local government areas. So from the reports and from observations, from reports from observers, news agencies, even from INEC, because like the rec said she's not aware of any vote buying. Like if people have evidence, they should come forward and bring forth their evidence. And with what you saw on social media, what would you say about the election generally? From turnout, because some persons reported that low turnout, but by the statistics the state governor gave, he said that this is the highest turnout they've had in years.
We'll start first of all from the overall perspective. If you look at the history of Anambra election, you see that the turnout of this election is higher than previous election. We'll give credit to INEC for the mass mobilization and to Anambarians for coming out in this number to make their choice. For me, every loser might decide not to accept and kick against the victory. But I always ask the question, if you were the winner, will you also clamor and cry the fact that there were massive vote buying? And like the INEC said, every accusation needs to be proven. And if you actually have evidence of vote buying within the Anambra election, the door is open, the window is still there, the governor have not been sworn in, so you can still provide your evidence. But in the overall, I think this is the best test for the new INEC chairman, and we give kudos to them for their massive deployment and timely result release.
Yes, and when we talk about the IREV also, the online result portal, relatively speaking, I think they did well with that as well. So commendations to INEC and the electorate that turned out to vote. Moving out to the Guardian newspaper, Soludo triumphs in Anambra as ADC. Observers decry vote buying. That's the lead, and you can get details of that on page 6. And you see the photos speak there. Anambra 2025, the ABGA candidate talking about Professor Chukwuma Soludo with 422,644 votes, and that of the APC 99,445 votes, and we have the YPP 37,753 votes. Yes. Trump's comment threatens national unity. NCIA warns, demands retraction. NCS records revenue surge as Port Harcourt Command earns 33 billion naira in October. Anambra, Serap. Booth party urge INEC to prosecute vote buyers. Nigeria loses $8 billion yearly to idle seafarers. Delayed CVFF disbursement. Awujale. Olawumi warns against violation of traditions, customary law. Agbakoba. How Nigeria can improve naira value, hedge volatility. You can get details of that commentary on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper.
I think there's something more important in this headline. That says Anambra, Sarah, both party urge INEC to prosecute vote buyers. I think Nigeria were already a step forward. For the first time, Serap is not crying for election malpractice. They are not crying for violence. They are just crying for vote buying. I think we're already making progress, and I want to give kudos to Nigeria that if we go this way, definitely before the next general election, nobody will be crying for vote buying and other electoral crises.
You think so?
I just believe so.
You want to believe
As
so?
a Nigerian, we need to be positive in some of the steps that we'll get.
Okay, still more headlines from the Guardian newspaper. Herda urges Tinubu to pause 15% fuel import tariff amid hardship. Court hears motion on PDP November convention today. And lastly, from the Guardian newspaper, IMF, Nigeria discussed reforms, new development plan. Now let's talk about this Trump's comment threatens national unity, coming from the Nigerian for Islamic Affairs. Yes, Society for Council for Islamic Affairs. Their reports now they are dismissing the claim of Christian genocide, the alleged Christian genocide by the U.S. And it's not the entirety of the U.S. actually. So what do you have to say about the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs?
For me, if you listen, that's why I always encourage everyone to tune on to Delta TV or the Delta Radio. If you look at the analysis this morning, the Delta Radio took time to relay the comments of Trump. Yes, America says Nigeria is a country of concern. They attributed it to Christians, even when not only Christians are killed in Nigeria. However, I still see it as there's no point for panic by the Nigeria Society for Islamic Affairs, because even the federal government is trying to manage the situation. What all Nigerians should watch out for in this state is, yes, we have a crisis. Yes, the government, the federal government is not up to speed in tackling it. So for Trump, I'm sure Trump will respect Nigeria's sovereignty, but the Islamic affairs should take time to have a seat with both the government to ensure that these killings in the major northern part of Nigeria should stop, and it should stop with the year 2025.
So my own concern about this killing is, like I've been stating right from the onset, I'm not really very much interested in whether it's Christians or Muslims. The fact that people are dying should not be. So nobody should be killed in the first place. However, I am quite concerned that now, don't get me wrong, it's not like people have not been speaking about these killings in time past. But I'm quite concerned the way different people are mobilizing themselves to dispute if this is how they've been consistently speaking about the killings. I think that the federal government would have given the needed attention prior to now. But it's as though when the US president spoke or put out that message on Truth Social, then we started seeing people coming to dispute this. Now, the painful thing is, if Trump hadn't put out this message with this
One reality on these affairs is where people are getting it wrong. The Society for Islamic Affairs could also do the research that Trump have made. Trump gave its